So I'll start. So Ruth, she's playing for the machine. She's playing for herself. Does she have any interest in the common good at this point? Her character's evolved so much, it's hard to really know.
I feel like she definitely does at this point. I mean, I think that that's kind of what she took away from last season, is that the machine has taught her, you know, to actually care about people other than herself. And Harold has too. But yeah, I think, you know, that's kind of been where it's come from a place of that.
I think, you know, Ruth's character, Amy's character, has always been sort of the oracle from the machine. And in a weird way, it actually became something divisive between her and Harold Finch, because the machine stopped talking to Harold and then he talked to Ruth, and it became a bit of a point of contention. But I think what's going to happen, you'll see going forward, is that up to this point in time, Ruth has always believed that the machine had all of our best interests at heart, and I think now her character is starting to encounter a stage of a certain amount of disillusionment with the advent of Samaritan, and some of the things she's finding out about the origin of the machine from Harold Finch this year. Ruth is going to start to question her role in terms of what the machine wants from her and what the machine's plans are under the umbrella of Samaritan.
How does that manifest? I mean, what are we going to be seeing Ruth do?
We got a fantastic clip to show you guys out there with Amy, and there's basically going to be a showdown between the machine and Samaritan, and Amy, of course, has always been, you know, mouthpiece for the machine. We're going to meet Martine, played by Carol Bueno, who is obviously somewhat of her analog with Samaritan. The two of them have a nasty clash.
Is Martine being set up as a nemesis for Ruth, a physical nemesis?
I think she's a nemesis for all our guys, particularly for Ruth, but definitely all of our guys. She's extremely capable, as you'll see in the clip coming up, and she's versatile. And she's able to sort of, like Ruth, in many ways, a chameleon.
When you guys began the show, it could easily have been migrating to like a number of the week situation, but you clearly didn't do that. You clearly had in mind not to do that. However, as you've gone along, is it tough to balance the episodes between ones where the mythology moves forward a lot and ones where there's actual story, one done in one type of thing?
It's extremely difficult. 22, 23 episodes a year in network television. You love to have an engine. You love to have a standalone engine that people understand and want to come back to. But Joan and I felt very strongly from the very beginning that there had to be a bigger story. There had to be a larger serialized story. And the only issue with that is that sometimes the show can become so involved and complicated that it becomes a bit of an obstacle to itself in terms of new viewers. So we always want to have that standalone story, but we also want to tell a larger story. Sometimes the number coalesces with the larger story. Sometimes it's totally separate from the serialized part. But we think that's where television is going anyway. I think because people have so many options now. They have, you know, I think people often wait to find out whether they hear a show is good or not before they even tune in, and then they go to Netflix or they go to whatever, you know, to Hulu or to Amazon now and try to catch up. And we hope to have a streaming option for the show in the next year, as well as syndicate the show, where we feel like we can bring a bunch of people to the table who heard about the show but maybe can catch up on it.
As part of that, last year you let it drop that you and Jonah came up with an ending. You have an ending you're working to. I mean, the fourth season has sort of shifted radically. How does that play a role into this? Where are we?
I think we know what the ending is. There's a lot of things we can play in between now and then, just depending on the life of the show. But I think this year is all about the clash between Samaritan and the machine. There's actually two wars going on. There's the emergence of a group called the Brotherhood, led by a character named Dominic that you'll meet in the coming week. And then there's that's sort of the municipal war, and then there's a larger war between the machine and Samaritan, which of course Ruth is involved in.
What can you say about Dominic?
He's big bad. He's bad. He's an excellent actor. You know, I came from the set Friday night, and there's a clash between the Brotherhood and Elias, Dominic and Elias, and it's kind of epic. It's fantastic. The two of them working together. You'll see.
Amy, you are known for playing very sweet, very, very nice characters. What's been the challenge or playing a more gray/dark character?
Actually helping my home life a lot. I'm just getting it out of my system. No, I mean, I feel pretty lucky. I've had the opportunity to kill a lot of people with different ways of killing them. So, but this has been, I mean, Root is such a fun part, and they every time I get a script, I'm just excited to see what they have me doing, and surprised that they can let me do half of it. I'm like, I get to do that? Okay, great. Yeah, it's fun because I feel like even though she has the gray area, she's her ultimate objective so far has been to protect the machine, which in my opinion has been a good goal, and so it's easy to make the choices in order to do what's right for the machine.
I think also, I just want to say, Amy did such a wonderful job of fleshing out all the colors of that character. When we met the character initially, she was murdering people for money. People's capacity for forgiveness is incredible because they keep wanting her to come over to the side of Team Machine, and obviously she has this interest in Harold that goes back to his creation of the machine, but I think now she has a special relationship with Shaw as well.
Yeah, can you talk about that? I mean, you guys, it's like evolved so much, and now you guys are kind of counting on each other in some weird way.
I know, I mean, I always, like, when they wrote the first episode with me torturing her with an iron, I don't know if they wrote that knowing that was going to be the start of a relationship, or if they just, Sarah and I just brought that to it on our own. I'm not sure what happened. But, yeah, we have such a great time doing scenes together, and then the characters, I think they just play off of each other so well, and there's always been a sort of line of like, am I flirting with her because it annoys her, or am I flirting with her because I'm flirting with her, and so it's just been a fun little progression of how the relationships evolve.
So the new hideout is incredible. Whose idea was that?
Well, I mean, something we talked about in the writers' room last year. Jonah had brought up destroying the library in the finale, and we were like, no, it's one place where we can meet. Like, the difficulty of this show is we shoot out in the streets of New York so much, and there's very few places for our guys to meet. And as you noticed, Fusco was never in the library. He was always in the precinct, and then when we lost Taraji's character, there was no one in the precinct. So we've sort of found a way now getting John Reese, his character in the precinct, but we really did feel like, with Samaritan taking over, how are they going to communicate? They need another place that they can meet, and the natural progression of that was to say, go underground, away from the cameras, but in a way that they could meet without Samaritan knowing what they're doing. And it's just, the other thing is, it's such a huge pain shooting in the subway in New York City. We missed it. We're like, it's a part of New York. So like, let's build our own. It's fantastic.
Didn't someone told me that there really are these abandoned subway things that you guys have seen one of them?
Yeah,
Is that true?
yeah. There's one. I believe it's beneath City Hall. I think it's sort of modeled on a forgotten subway station. I think the reason it went out of favor is because the trains got larger and it couldn't make a certain turn. So there's this incredible these Art Deco vaulted old subway stations in New York. There's a couple of them, but that's the one I can think. I think they're beneath City Hall. And there's a lot of really cool things like. At the Roosevelt, they used to have like hotels where you could actually go right down into the subway all the way down. So there's all sorts of cool hidden underground stuff there. We felt like it was a natural progression for this show.
We have time for like one or two more questions.
Will we see much more of the subway beyond that hideout? Because I think it's almost a good character in itself too. And action scenes there.
Yeah, I don't know if we've shown a scene yet. Is a scene aired yet where you've seen them on the train as well, like riding the train? I think it's coming up in the next week, but. It's been great for us, not only in the space, but to be able to create a sense of motion within the city and like various characters actually meeting on a train. It's a lot of fun.
Can you talk about what we're going to see from Fresco and Reese as partners and how that relationship is going to continue as the season goes?
I think, one of my favorite scenes was when Kevin turned to Jim's character and he said, you know what, I know you're just a dilettante, but this is my actual job, and I have to do this, and I take it very seriously. And it was like, and then I think that really registered with Reese in a way where he sort of realized, okay, Lionel, I'm going to take your job seriously now. And it's kind of it's a little bit of a ridiculous line to walk because he shoots someone almost every week. Most police officers go their entire career without firing their weapons. So there's a lot of paperwork building up, and eventually he's going to get sent to the shrink. Because Internal Affairs has a lot of questions about what John Riley, the character, is doing.